'Cause I know you never left my side. I try to count the blessings.
Hello everybody, now it's time for me to do something that I think it's going to be kind of cool. Earlier this year I had linked up some sort of informal partnership with Centricity. It's a music label that includes quite a few artists to name, including Jason Gray, Lauren Daigle, and including a couple other artists, some that have released some music during the first half of 2018. They include PEABOD, Plumb, Jonny, Diaz, Peterson, Jordan, Feliz for all seasons. So I thought it would be kind of cool to do some sort of like recap of the releases that Centricity has released during the first half of this year, and maybe at the end of this year I'll do another recap, and I want to kind of see how this one will turn out, and I hope I can do another one. I think it'd be pretty fun to do. So what I plan to do is go through each of the releases in order and then give my thoughts on each individual release. So I'm kind of excited to get into this, so let's get started. First, For All Seasons, they released their debut EP with the label. They've done music prior to being signed to Centricity. It's called Clarity.
Your ways are higher, your ways are higher than all of my ways.
I've heard their single Higher several times on an alternative radio station around here. When I listen to the EP, it's definitely a Worship Central based EP. That was an awkward term, Worship Central. It's worship centered, and when you think worship, one might think Chris Tomlin, Passion, Chris McLarney. But this kind of deviates from that typical worship sound and kind of has its pop influences, and lyrically just something a little different from what I hear in worship music. And I just thought it was pretty cool just hearing something a little different from number one, what I'm used to, and number two, what is kind of portrayed as worship music. It's nice to have some variety, and I really feel like they bring in that variety. This is kind of like a good example of what can be played as pop music, but what can also be enjoyed as worship music. I would have to say my favorite song from For All Seasons would probably be Higher. Next up, Peterson, Resurrection Letters Volume 1.
Is anyone worthy? Is anyone whole? Is anyone able to break the seal and open the scroll?
Back in 2008, he released Resurrection Letters Volume 2, and now this year he released Volume 1. What happened? Basically, the deal is Volume 2 focused on the effects that the gospel had when it spread the earth. Volume 1 focuses more on the events of the resurrection and on the biblical tales. And the prologue, which also released this year, focused on the crucifixion and the burial. Even though it's not a 2018 release, I did listen to Volume 2. I know many people liked it. I can't say I'm one of its biggest fans. I thought the prologue was fine. It took a little bit for it to stand out. But guys, if you only heard the prologue or Volume 2, you must hear Volume 1. Volume 1 is incredible. It's unlike most any music I've heard released this year in 2018. It's so biblically saturated, so scripture based. It's just very reflective. It pulls out biblical truths, it applies them to today. I think one of the best examples is Remember Me, based upon the thief that cried to Lord,
Lord, remember me when you come into your kingdom.
It's just such a touching song. My favorite track from Resurrection Letters Volume 1 is Remember Me. Really good. Next up is Jordan Feliz's Future.
Your love is like a fountain, it'll never run dry, it'll never run dry.
The album was birthed out of a time that Jordan Feliz is like, are people gonna like what I'm gonna create next? You know, it's that fear. Honestly, when you listen to the album, you can't really hear all of that pain that he probably was going through. That's something I personally think that some Christian-based music tends to do. Kind of tends to coat the problems a little bit, make the situation seem a little happier. And of course, we need happy songs. I think it's important, because if you listen to NF all the time, you're going to be depressed all the time. But there comes a point where you have to be honest with them. Okay, this is what I'm going through. Maybe that's one reason why I really like Peterson, even though maybe it didn't write directly from his struggles in the album, because it was based on stuff about the resurrection. It was very clear, very applicable, very honest. Now, I'm not not saying the Jordan Feliz album wasn't honest, but it kind of had Instagram filters that kind of toned it down a little bit. Not to say it was a bad album. I did enjoy it. It kind of impressed me a bit. There were definitely some songs I loved. I think the album is very positive and very encouraging. So maybe those who are going through a rough time might enjoy it. The song that really stood out to me from the first listen was 180.
Call me home, I wanna be your own. I'm running desperately into your arms where I belong.
But over time, I've been listening to it all along a little much. I just really like him. Then we have Jonny Diaz's EP Sweetness and Sorrow.
You're a giver, you're a lover, you're a friend, you're a fighter, fighting for this love to win.
Again, I kind of have to go back to the Jordan Feliz thing. I feel like I was able to capture more of the sweetness than the sorrow. There were definitely some very touching songs. Watch You Be a Mother would definitely be categorized under the sweetness song. The idea of growth, the cycle of life. I thought it was a very sweet song. I mean, broken people can go under sorrow, but it wasn't really enough for me to understand the sorrow that was really being described. I kind of felt like in the title of the EP, sorrow is a little like, okay, there's sorrow. What sorrow did you have? Well, here's some abstract ideas. Okay, here's sweetness. What sweetness? Okay, he gave more examples for that. He definitely did outline some struggles. One of my personal favorites from the EP was the song There.
I wanna be there, 'cause every day it's a new highlight. When you live in the postcard life, I wanna be there.
Looking at other people's lives and wishing your life was like that, but then you have to really think and realize, wait, my life is actually pretty decent. This is the life that God gave me. There and Watch You Be a Mother are really good songs, but I'd have to say my favorite song from the EP would be Need You Always.
I need you in the joy, like I need you in the pain. I need you always.
That song was like, wow. There are times where in life where, you know, it's like all nice and such. God can be an afterthought. But it's like, no, I actually really need you all the time, Lord. Every waking hour, every single day. And it's like, Lord, I need you to be with me always, to lead me, to guide me. The Lord should really be the forefront of all our minds and direct us always. Next up, we have Plumb.
You're beautifully broken, and you can be whole again.
Beautifully Broken is her first, technically an independent album, but it's partnered with Centricity. This is the first full-length Plumb album I personally have heard, and I thought it was really good. I've heard random songs from Blink, I've heard random songs on the radio. They're all pretty good songs, but I wanted to hear a full-length Plumb album myself. And what really surprised me from the album is the diversity of lyrics and her angelic voice. And it didn't really flow with a similar pop sound like Jordan Feliz did on his album. I can't say that I like every single song. I think this is kind of like a case like I can recognize the talent, but it doesn't mean I fully have to like it. There are a couple songs, it's okay. Not everything stood out. The talent behind it did stand out. It was just a really cool listen. I was really impressed by the release. Last but not least would be PEABOD's Healthy Snap.
This is new for me, new for everybody, new happy rap music for your party.
Now, PEABOD is the very first rapper signed on Centricity. He actually released a primitive form of this mixtape last year. It's not your typical rap album. I know I didn't say it's not your typical CHH album. I said it's not your typical rap album. Now, I haven't really heard a lot of mainstream rap. I've heard my share of CHH, just within reach in capital CMG. You can't really categorize this under mainstream or CHH really. It's what's called happy rap. Yes, happy rap. PEABOD aims to make happy rap music, which I'm sure there is. I think rap music is definitely like that genre to dance to. You know, you find these songs that you really enjoy, and no matter sometimes the lyrical content, you know, it just has a good beat and makes you just want to jam along to it. I'm still trying to figure out, okay, what exactly is happy rap? but I'm getting it. I mean, I listened to it, so I have an idea of his idea of what happy rap is. And honestly, it also just musically doesn't sound like your typical rap album. There's only like one trap-based song. Most of the other songs have elements of like real instruments and just combinations of other sounds, which gives it a very unique sound. Not your typical rap sound, especially that I'm a little more used to the trappish type sounding stuff. I mean, I would have to say Shoot From The Hip would be one of my favorites just because it's the lone trap song on the album.
Homie, all I do is get side. Shoot from the hip. Shoot from the hip. All I do is shoot from the hip. I got no idea, got no clue, so you know I just.
But also Summer of Fletcher is for some reason just fun. I just like it.
This is the summer of Fletcher. Keep it 100. It's Fletcher weather.
So I'm still getting Noted mixtape, you know, it's kind of new. I'm sure it'll grow on me some. Maybe I'll like it even better by the end of the year. But I'm kind of excited to see what PEABOD has up next. Now, some may say, you know, he's not your typical CHH rapper. He is not, because like this is more like just normal day-to-day life experiences, liking a girl, you know, roommates, and random stuff like that. Not a lot of early Lecrae type stuff. PEABOD wants to be known as one who does happy rap, but also one who loves Jesus. I'm excited to see what he has in the future for us, but I have no idea what it is. Okay, so let me go through what were my favorites, maybe the order of releases, like my favorite, this is my favorite above that one, and you know, that latter thing. At this current moment, PEABOD would be my least favorite. It's not that I don't like it. There's a lot of great releases from Centricity during this first half of the year. I'm still trying to get to know it better. Maybe as time goes on, maybe it'll go up, maybe it won't. We'll see. I mean, it's a short list and there were so many great releases on this list. Number 5 would probably be For All Seasons Clarity. It was a good listen. I really enjoyed the redefinition of worship music. Some of the songs kind of did blend a little bit, so I can't fully distinguish one song from the other too much. Jonny Diaz would probably be number 4, even though I was disappointed it didn't really get into the sorrow, at least from my perspective. There were definitely some songs that I can relate to on a personal level, namely There and Always Need You. Want to Be a Mother is just such a sweet song. 3, Jordan Feliz, Future. Sonically, it was kind of a little stuck. So that part annoyed me a little bit. Definitely an encouraging album. I'm sure many people will enjoy it. Jordan Feliz, for goodness sakes, he's really good at what he does, okay? He's a really great pop artist. Number 2, Plumb. Again, I was just really impressed to compare with Jordan Feliz. More musically diverse, more lyrically diverse. It was just a really great listen. Number 1, obviously at this point, Andrew Peterson, Resurrection Letters Volume 1. It's incredible. I don't hear a lot of scripturally saturated albums these days. So it's just nice hearing something like that. Just taking time to reflect on scripture and applying it to our lives today. Andrew Peterson, I think, is an amazing guy from the little bit I've heard. Anyways, that's it. I'm excited to see what else Centricity has up their sleeve. I think Unspoken might be releasing something at some point. I think Jason Gray is working on some music. I know Neon Feather's working on some music. Hopefully Lauren Daigle's working on music. If there's anything else from Centricity, like new artists, PEABOD and Plumb were signed to Centricity this year. So there could be new artists. I'm sure there are new releases. We'll see. I don't know what's going on with Centricity behind the scenes. All I do is just promote the music. And that's what I'm doing right now. Even though it's a YouTube cliche, I'll go and say it. Thank you for watching. If you have any thoughts on any of those releases, I want to hear them. Did you like anything better than I did? Any questions, let me know. I'll also have full-length reviews linked down below. Special thanks to Centricity that we can work together to review these releases. I've been blessed by some of these releases. Some of these songs have really jumped at me and really caused me to think or be encouraged or just gave me something to jam to. Really thankful. I hope that people watching might learn about an artist or two and maybe check out some new music. I know there are people who are like, I want to know more new music. I'm like, well, ask me. There we go. That's it. Thank you for watching. God bless and enjoy a little music. See you in the future.
The future.